would Jesus do? Many of you have heard the phrase, what would Jesus do? People even put it on a bracelet to remind them to ask this question when they are considering doing something Jesus may not approve of. If we claim to follow Christ, that is, to be a Christian, we must look to Jesus to see if things are right or wrong. He knows because he was perfect. But where do we draw the line between right and wrong? Do we get to draw the line ourselves? Or maybe God has already drawn the line? Let's go to the movies and find out. But before we do that, let's consider Manasseh. Manasseh was 12 years old when he became king, and he reigned for 50 years in Jerusalem. He did evil in the sight of the Lord and committed the same horrible sins practiced by the nations whom the Lord had driven out ahead of the Israelites. Let's look at some of the things that Manasseh did. Manasseh did evil in the sight of the Lord and committed the same horrible sins practiced by the nations. He set up altars for the Baals and made Asherah poles. He bowed down to all the stars of the sky and worshipped them. And he practiced divination, omen reading, and sorcery. He set up a ritual pit to conjure up underworld spirits and appointed magicians to supervise it. He did a great amount of evil in the sight of the Lord and angered him. When you enter the land that the Lord your God is giving you, you must not learn the detestable practices of those nations. None of God's people should practice divination, that is, trying to find some hidden meaning or cause for an event in life, sometimes foretelling the future. This was found in all civilizations, and it is still practiced today with horoscopes, astrology, crystal gazing, tarot cards, and the Ouija board. Omen readers and soothsayers, which are like astrologers or enchanters, are also forbidden for God's people. God's people should not follow superstitions, thinking some days are better than others, having lucky numbers, or making predictions by looking at the clouds or some other natural signs. We shouldn't pretend to or try to find hidden things using superstitious words or ceremonies, or trying to make some meaning from water or smoke. Sorcery and witches are also forbidden. A witch is said to be in a covenant with the devil, and by his help deceives people and hurts them, their livestock, and other property through the use of evil arts. They interact with familiar spirits and know them well. We are not to try to talk to the dead, well, because they're dead. But if you do try to do that, it will most certainly be a demon trying to confuse and deceive you. And God's people must stay away from the occult and all of those evil practices. You may think you're just playing games, but real wizards and witches are not. Everything starts out as fun and games. At least you think that. But those practicing these things for real are under the influence of Satan. And the Bible verse also goes on to say, whoever does these things is detestable to the Lord, because these things are detestable. People in this world practice these things, but the Lord your God has not given you permission to do such things. So, what would Jesus do? Even if Jesus knew he was not a witch, do you think he would pretend to be one? Do you think he would pretend to put spells on people? Even if it was just for fun. Do you think Jesus would light candles and bring sacrifices to some Hindu temple, even if he didn't believe that? Would Jesus have a little pink elephant in his home just for decoration because he loves elephants and the color? If he knew that this pink elephant was some other person's god, even if he didn't worship the elephant as God or think that it had any power? If all these things were detestable to God, why would we think it's fun to play them or just pretend? Then comes Halloween. What would Jesus do? Would he get dressed up just for fun on a pagan holiday, even if he didn't really believe it? Would Jesus dress children up like this and take them out trick-or-treating just for fun? So as Christians, we should ask ourselves if we should play games or with toys that encourage sorcery and magic, which we clearly see that God said his people should not do? Should we celebrate Halloween? Even if we're not doing it as a pagan or a witch, we don't believe those things, but should we celebrate it and practice what they do? In 2021, the Magic Mixes Magical Misting Cauldron was one of the hottest toys during the holiday season and was sold out during those prime shopping months. Even adults were entranced with the magical toy and interactive experience. It also won the Creative Toy of the Year award at the 2022 Toy of the Year Awards. This year, they have a Magic Mixes Magical Crystal Ball. And did you know these toys are made for children ages 5 to 8? Again, what would Jesus do? Would Jesus give such a toy to a child or even play with it himself? Would Jesus dress up like a warlock or a little demon or a skeleton? Would he put on eerie things all over his yard? Whether one practices paganism or not, should a person claiming the name of Jesus, saying that you're a Christian, practice what pagans practice or celebrate on their holidays? So we ask not only what would Jesus do, but what would Jesus not do? Philippians 4:8 gives us some advice. Whatever is true, whatever is worthy of respect, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if something is excellent or praiseworthy, think about these things. So are witches, wizards, sorcery, magic, celebration of the dead and dying, are these things true or worthy of respect, just, pure, lovely, commendable, excellent, or praiseworthy? What do you think? What do you think Jesus thinks? And what would Jesus do?